Near Moscow, Masha Gessen is preparing dinner for friends and family. Gessen is a Russian-American journalist who is openly gay and has 3 children with her girlfriend. But last June, the Russian parliament and President Putin passed a law she says targets her family. It's a ban on so-called homosexual propaganda for minors. And while Putin claims this protects traditional Russian values, Gessen says Putin has another reason for this law.
9 months ago, he looked out his window. He saw the first huge protests. What he saw were enemies protesting not his regime, but Russia itself. That means they were foreigners. They were other. LGBT people are the quintessential foreign agent. It's the quintessential other. It has nothing to do with homophobia per se. It's xenophobia in general. But who better to personifies foreign influence, Western influence, than LGBT people? So we're the first target. We're not going to be the only target. I mean, it's going to broaden out.
Targeting the LGBT community, which stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, has led to these images of confrontation since the laws were passed. Laws which include banning adoption by gay couples or making blasphemy a crime. Gay rights activists warn of an increase in hate crimes and even killings in some parts of Russia. Elena Kostyachenko works for Novaya Gazeta, one of Russia's only newspapers critical of the Kremlin. She is also a gay rights activist who created a protest called Kiss Day.
They come to beat us up. How does this happen? We go in front of the Duma and kiss. They try to hit us and sometimes they succeed. They throw rotten eggs at us, ketchup, urine. The last time, and sorry for saying this, but they put human feces in condoms and they threw them at us. Normally the police just stands there on the side, and once we've been beaten up a bit, they take us away. That's more or less how it happens.
While Putin has come under heavy criticism by the United States and the EU for these laws, he's found a staunch ally in the Orthodox Church. A church that during the Soviet times was forced underground. Today it warns that same-sex marriage will lead to the apocalypse. It also warns of a growing gay lobby trying to impose its values.
People are free to choose, but now we're seeing this lack of freedom, where homosexuality is imposed on children and adolescents. This is done through internet, through Western political propaganda, by political actions by the gay lobby. And we don't want this phenomena being imposed on our children or our adults by political pressure.
Critics claim this type of statement gives extreme religious groups the green light for attacking homosexuals. And while this member of a religious group called God's Will admits that sometimes there is confrontation, he says today the law and the police are now on their side. His priest agrees.
Thanks to the new laws that have been adopted, now, for example, if we see sodomites openly walking in the streets handing out flyers with their ideas to children, all we have to do is call the police.
It's difficult to imagine that the entire parliament is made up of crazy people. If the parliament is busy drafting such laws and voting for them at almost 100%, this must mean that they consider them relevant.
Last June, not one member of parliament voted against the ban on homosexual propaganda, a law that is said to be supported by a large majority of Russians. But also some 80% of Russians say they don't know any homosexuals. This is due in large part to an LGBT community which even before this law has kept silent about its sexuality. A silence Anton Krasovsky could no longer keep. Last January, this TV presenter came out during one of his shows. He was fired by text message the next day.
A great writer, Leo Tolstoy, wrote this text called "I Can't Stay Quiet Anymore." and I just simply couldn't remain quiet. I thought that Vladimir Putin's fourth mandate would bring in great changes, strategic and serious ones, which would improve the country. All the changes that were made were great, serious and strategic, but they've worsened the country. Within a year, Putin, in my opinion, a person whom I supported, has become a person I could no longer support, and I won't support him.
In just a few months, Russia will be hosting the Winter Olympics, a matter of great personal pride for Putin. And calls to boycott them by gay rights activists has been met with fierce resentment by most Russians. And for this parliament member, the new laws are just upholding traditional values and are not discriminating against gay people.
You know, the Olympic Games are a very important event for us. Naturally, in Europe and in the United States, there are politicians, we call them Russophobes, people for whom a victory for Russia, a great event which is taking place here like the Olympics, is seen as a thorn in their side. And of course, they'll use whatever pretext they have to hurt Russia.
Supporters of Russia's legislation argue that their country has already greatly changed since the collapse of the Soviet Union, a time during which homosexuality was a crime. And for this political analyst, Putin is working on forging a new Russian identity, one which is conservative but strong.
It is absolutely inconceivable that the legislation will be changed, amended, softened, whatsoever. President Putin is not the kind of person who concedes under pressure, just the opposite. Just as long as there is pressure, there is an urge to come to the fore and say, nobody has the right to teach us or preach to us. And this is, by the way, one of the reasons, one out of many, that makes Putin popular, that he can stand up to the pressure from the West.
While Putin is standing up to the West, the Duma is on a roll, set to introduce even more laws safeguarding traditional values. One such bill would deny gay parents custody over their children because of their sexual orientation. But Masha is not taking any chances. She will be moving her children to New York, leaving Russia once again.
It sucks. What can I say? Sorry. It's, you know, it feels absurd because I was 14 when we left this country because it had no place for us. I felt like I was reclaiming it when I came here in my 20s. It was a very important statement for me to make to myself and to people around me, that this is my home and they don't get to take it away just because of their anti-Semitic policies. Well, they get to take it away again.
It's estimated that 5% of Russia's population of 140 million is gay. And while some say they're determined to stay and fight for equal rights, others worry the only solution is at the airport with a one-way ticket.